Okay, today we're looking at adding and subtracting sign numbers. That means dealing with adding and subtracting of positives and negatives. And we're just going to focus on integers for today. So, pause if you need to for this. What I want you to do is first think about what have you learned about adding and subtracting sign numbers before. Pause if you need to. Well, I'm not sure what you guys have learned, but one of the easy kind of things that I learned that someone helped me out with was if you want to add and subtract sign numbers, just think of them in terms of money. We kind of know what addition and subtraction already are. To add is to put something onto something, create something new, and to subtract is to take something away. And the way you bring positives and negatives into it is to think of it in terms of money. So a positive number is good money. It's money that you have, or it's money that someone gave you, or it's money coming in. Whereas negatives are like either a bill coming in or a debt. Maybe it's money that you owe somebody. And that can kind of be a great way to think about it. Okay, so and I think this works really great for both positives and negatives. So for example, let's say you have something simple. 4 minus 7. What this would mean to me is I start with $4 and someone is trying to take away $7. Well, guess what? I don't have enough money to give that person if they're trying to take it away because I owe it to them, I guess. And what you have to ask yourself is, well, how much short am I? Well, I'm $3 short of what I owe them, so that would be -3 because now I have like a $3 debt to that person. They tried to take away 7. They could only take away 4. I still owe them 3. So owing them 3 would be like -3. This even works really great for the infamous subtracting a negative. Okay, so -3 minus -4. So the way I would think of this is I have a debt of $3. That's what I'm starting with. But then a friend of mine comes along and takes away $4 of my debt. Well, if he takes away $4 of my debt, he's taking away the 3 that I already have, and I've kind of got an extra $1 now because he tried to take away 4 of my debt, so there was an extra $1 involved there, so now I've got $1. So that's like +1. The thing that you guys have probably learned that can be really simple is just the simple changing everything to addition. Maybe that's the way you learn things. So like if you saw 4 minus 7, you would change it to 4 plus -7. Or if you saw -3 minus -4, that's the big one that you really should be able to do. If you see minus a negative, you should change that to just adding a positive. It's actually easier to deal with addition because then kind of what you can do is you can say, okay, the positive and negative cancels each other out when I have equal amounts, and I just see which one has more left over. So like here I would think, okay, 4 of these positive 4s cancel with 4 little negatives from here, and I've got 3 negatives left over. And that's where I kind of came up with this method. Sometimes I'll use this if I've got a big long chain of addition and subtraction of some positive and some negative numbers. So what I like to do is, I'm going to just finish writing out this chain here. I like to box all of the numbers and the sign just to the left of the number. That's important too. The reason I want to include the sign to the left is because it influences what type of number it is. So if you have just one symbol, it's pretty obvious what kind of number you should count it as. If it's a plus, it's positive. If it's subtraction, it's negative. And if you have 2 symbols, 2 of the same kind of symbol will be a positive. 2 positives or 2 negatives would just be a positive, and 1 of each is going to be a negative. So then what I do is I label each of these boxes. This is a negative box. This is a positive. Here I've got 1 of each, so that's a negative. This is also a negative, and this last one's positive because I've got a double negative. And what I do is I put the positive stuff together, the numerical quantities, and I put the negative stuff together. So now I've got a 6 and a 2 in my positive boxes, so I have 8 bits of positive stuff, and I've got a 5, a 4, and a 3, that's 12. So I've got 12 bits of negative stuff. And again, now it's just like I talked about above. So 8 of the positives cancel with 8 of the negatives and make little zeros, but I've got 4 negatives left over, so this one's going to be -4. And it works because of what I was talking about above, where you could basically just change everything to addition. So I could change this to adding a negative, this one to adding a positive. Now I add all my positive stuff, add all my negative stuff, and see which one wins out. That's really it for adding and subtracting signed numbers. Hopefully you've learned some things before. I've got kind of some other tricks too that you can use. I like the money way of thinking about it. If you've had trouble before and you haven't used that way, you can try that way. But I've got some other ways too. I've got some ways using number lines, all sorts of crazy stuff. I heard someone describe it to me as like a hot air balloon. That one I thought was especially weird. But, you know, I've got different ways that you can think about this if you want. So if you need other ways, just let me know. That's all for today.